Presented. Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Howell?
Yes.
Commissioner Olivari?
Yes.
Commissioner Casey?
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Romero. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
The next item on the agenda, Madam Chair, is the approval of the minutes.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Olivari.
approval of the minutes of meeting on December 20th, 2017.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Casey?
Yes.
Commissioner Howell?
Yes.
Commissioner Olivari?
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Olivari, a second by Commissioners Casey and Commissioner Romero. Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda, Madam Chair, is public input, and we did not have anyone sign up for public input.
Okay, thank you very much.
So we will now have the next item, which is the Finance Department presentation.
Good evening, Natasha.
Good evening. The chair was stuck. Madam Chair, Commissioners, in front of you, you have the finance report for the month ending December 31st, 2017. This is half of our year. As you can see, our dwelling rent is a little low. We've had quite a bit of vacancies, and the people coming in are at a lower income threshold. So we do have a requirement that 40% of our intake do have to be extremely low income. So that's 30% under the low income threshold. So we are abiding by that rule, but it also does affect our revenues in a negative capacity. Our operating subsidy is still yet to be released. I did attempt to draw it down, and I just got a message that popped up, and all it said was about the compliance review. So it didn't tell me anything else. I haven't seen anything else. I can just say what the system's telling me. I did speak to our HUD analyst, and she said it was all in the report. I haven't seen the report, so I don't know exactly where it affects our operating subsidy and our drawdowns. But that's also the reason I cannot draw down our capital fund transfer. I got the same message. As far as expenses go, we are staying below our budget on that as well, just trying to be conscientious of the cash we do have in the bank. We do know that money is promised to us. We have received obligation letters for that money. But as far as when it will be released, all I can say is that's the message that popped up at me when I attempted to draw down the funds. So I don't know exactly what it's referring to, but with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, Madam Chair, is the Housing Director's Monthly Report. For unit maintenance, at tonight's meeting, we will be taking Resolution 18-02 non-smoking policy and Resolution 18-03 and adding the non-smoking policy to our tenant lease agreement. Our maintenance crew is continually working on unit turnaround from move-out inspection to move-in inspection within a short period of time. Regarding our buildings and roofs, the general contractor is in the process of working with contractors. The HR office has advised that the work will start on the units any day now. There are 52 units that they will be working on. The LVHA fleet, our fleet is currently being worked on to repair the dents. There are a couple more dents that do need to be taken out, and they will be taken out shortly. Under housing management, housing managers are continually busy working with the day-to-day operations of the housing authority, including new admissions, annual lease renewals, annual inspections of units, and lease enforcement. Our waiting list manager is working closely with maintenance on the unit turnarounds and is also taking applications. As far as applications, I would like to reiterate that we are taking applications. We are actually soliciting for 4 and 5 bedroom units. Currently, we have a 5-bedroom unit that does not have anyone on the waiting list. We did ask Lee to put it on our Facebook and put it on our website, and he did. and we still have not, and it's been on there for about 6 weeks now, and we still have not have any, a family that has come forward for that 5-unit bedroom.
Maybe this is something that we need to possibly advertise on Friday when we go to the radio show.
Okay, sounds good, okay. Under staff training, staff will be attending the monthly staff training provided by the city. Under compliance monitoring notifications, on your desk, if you will notice to your right, I have placed 2 documents. Lead the Way training from HUD, which I understand one of you has already taken it, and I'm not sure that anyone else has taken it. It was one of our findings from the compliance review that all of our governing body is to take that Lead the Way training. I will caution you, I've taken the training myself before, and I did speak to the council member prior to the meeting that has already taken the training. It is somewhat lengthy, so please do give yourself at least 6 hours to get through that training. You can start a module, hold off, start another module, hold off. It's not 6 hours that you get through. What I did is I did it all in one shot, and I believe the council member did it all in one shot as well too. But they come in they come in modules, so you can start the module, and when you finish that module, after you answer all the questions, you can stop, start, pick up your module again a little bit later. But it is very imperative that the council does take that Lead the Way training.
What, was this a finding or?
It was the first finding.
Okay, I'm concerned because I'll be very honest with you. I've been sitting on the council and now as a mayor. As a councilor, we were never informed that we had to take any training. I don't think you were either, did it? So who's the councilor that did take it?
I did.
Oh, you took it. Okay, see, the rest of us have never, ever been encouraged to take it by previous administration, and we were pretty much unaware until recently that we had to do this.
Okay.
So I think that we have to look at the fiscal impacts to the budget. But if
Yes.
it's a finding, we have to make it a corrective finding.
Right.
I mean, we have to correct that finding. So find out, sit down with Anne Marie and find out what the cost is, what we're going to pay.
It actually is no
It's
cost.
a no cost. right?
You log in on your own. You can take it on
Yes,
your
We
own.
have that information.
You have all that
Sure.
information right there on your desk
Absolutely.
in front of you.
Okay.
And it is a very simple program.
Yeah, but see what I'm trying to say, when did this come into place?
It came into place, I understood, a couple
year?
of,
Natasha, do you know?
This was the training that was offered under Mandy Griego, our field office.
We know that, Natasha. The question is when, what year was this a mandate?
I think it's not mandated. It was just offered.
So if
since-
it's not mandated, then why is it a finding?
I have not seen the findings, so I couldn't
Is it
address
an actual
that.
finding?
it is an actual finding and it is not mandated.
Well, then it shouldn't fall under a finding. Why doesn't that up?
What the finding is asking is for the corrective action, is for all governing body to
Okay,
take
what
the
I want you
finding.
to do, in addition to this, is I want you to go back and find out, get the regulations, find out what, if it's not mandated, when was it required, under what statute, what law, find out exactly when it was required, and then come back to the council, do a follow-up with us, okay? Because it's unfair to the housing that department that you get hit with a finding, when all of a sudden it's not mandated, so it shouldn't be written up as a finding, that there's no conclusive evidence that it is an actual statute, and it's not mandated, we have that already. So follow up with that, and then when you request this from Andy, put it in writing.
Okay.
Make certain you send it to her in writing.
What I do see as far as the first finding, and one of the first finding is there's regulatory citations, which she does state, but I will go back to her and I will talk to her about it.
Yes, we want to see that actual policy, because in my, 8 years as a counselor and now 2 years as a mayor, we have never heard that. The council was never asked to go through that process, and if we were instructed, I personally wasn't. in all this years that I was there, and all of a sudden, we've never been hit with a finding of that nature, so why is it that we're being hit with that finding now?
Okay, I will.
Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the previous housing director, Carmen?
Carmela.
Carmela, yes. I think she did a presentation to
Yes, she
us.
did.
And it was not clear to me that it was mandatory for us to
Exactly.
take the training. But I know that Carmelita did do a presentation to us.
Yeah, but there's nothing that's stated in that presentation that if we didn't do this, that the housing department was going to be hit with a finding. I'm very concerned about that.
Okay,
And I want this on the record, Barbara, everything verbatim, in regards to concerns, okay?
May I
Yes,
say
go ahead.
something? I believe probably, although it's not mandated, they do have the citation listed on the finding, but I think the problem arose because whoever did the audit does not believe that this commission is well-informed enough to be able to have a good discussion on some of the issues that come up. And I was looking through here, and it says that we have inadequate board oversight and inadequate monitoring of the programs. And in order to do that, we need to know what the rules are, what's expected and all that, and that'll have to come in the
Yeah.
training.
But that's one thing, Barbara, you cannot go ahead and write up an actual housing department for something that is not mandated. One thing is to encourage us to take that, which we never have been. All these years that I have sat in the council and as a mayor, we have never been encouraged by Mandy. And now this is surfaced by Mandy, not to mention all the negative comments that she has attacked this administration on, which is totally unprofessional and unacceptable. And that should be on the record as well. And I am very concerned about the manner in which HUD is regulating this housing department at this point in time. Are they targeting this housing department because maybe they don't like the players that are currently running the office? If that is the case, that is unprofessional and it's unacceptable. Now you have Mandy provide to us an actual policy where it's mandated. Why in the past 8 to 10 years that I have sat on the council and as a mayor, we were never written up on any such thing.
yes, ma'am, I will.
Thank you very much. And you can take that to advantage too, Natasha, okay? Thank you very much. You continue.
Okay. We are diligently working on the compliance, or actually the second, I forgot about this. As I said, on your desk was the lead the way. On the second part was, I know that you've already received a copy of the findings. On your desk, I placed a second set of the findings. We are diligently working on compliance review findings and are compiling the requested documents. We've already begun. This is the start of what we're doing. I'm working closely with the finance department to get the policies that we need as far as what some of those findings were. This council has hired me to make sure that these findings are, even though they happened before I was
It doesn't
hired.
matter, you've taken the helm.
I'm going to take it forward and I'm going to push forward, and every one of those findings will be answered.
Good, thank you.
We will meet the, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
we will meet the deadline,
Yes, sir.
February 28th.
Yes, sir. Most of it, we will meet the deadline. If we do need an extension, we will be requesting an
Be
extension.
diligent about addressing it prior to the deadline or at the deadline.
Okay, most definitely, ma'am. As part as the compliance review, we continue to scan and email all required documents that Ms. Mandy has requested. And on January 2nd, we emailed the GL and the payroll backup for the month of November. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
Now, I'd just like to make a comment on the training. The training does take took me all day pretty much to do it. It took me 6 hours to do it. And
When did you do it?
I
What's
just went
required? So is it 6, 8? Do they have a time limit? Because if they only require 6 and you don't make it in 6, then does that mean that you are?
no, you can.
So you can keep going?
You can like do one module one day and then
Okay.
3 days later go to the next one or whatever.
Okay, good.
You can do it at your own pace. I decided to do it all in one whack to get it out of the way and get it done. There's a lot of information in there. They ask you questions about each module. And if you don't get the questions right, you have to go back and review and then answer the questions again.
Good.
I did the questions twice. I did them for each module, and then they have the questions all in one section where you can answer them all again. And I did that so that I could test myself to see if I remembered everything that I had thought I had learned. Also, the one thing that I didn't like about the training, that it uses a lot of acronyms. And I couldn't remember
And that's
what
not
some of
fair,
them
exactly.
meant. And so it was like, okay, I know I read it, but what does it mean? And so, to me, I thought that was, there were so many acronyms that it was a bit much. But it was very informative. It was very informative, and there was a lot of information to digest, but it's a very good training.
And we're not arguing the training. I think my concern and everybody concerns here should be that the housing department is being penalized for something that is not mandated as an actual finding. So how do you correct an actual finding that is not mandated by law? You
See,
can't
I-
hold them accountable for
I
that.
actually thought that it was
it's
mandated
not.
because, like Carmela had told us before, you know, she encouraged us strongly to take the training. Lorraine also has given us the information several times. And so I thought it was mandatory. It never occurred to me that it wasn't.
No, it's not a mandate.
So, and the corrective action does say all board members will complete the Lead the Way training.
So that's why I'm
So-
asking for the actual policy.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
need the policy.
I will
because They
do.
cannot hold you accountable or write you up on a finding if it's not a mandate or an actual policy. If it's not there, then there's no way that they can mandate that on the council.
will
Not that
do
I'm
that.
against it, but in all the years, 10 years I've been sitting here, we were never, ever informed of this,
Yes, ma'am.
that we would be written up, something like this ever happened.
Yes, ma'am, I will look
It's
into
very
it.
unfair to the department.
I'll look
Thank
into
you
it first
very
thing
much.
tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Commissioner Casey? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, please continue.
The next item on the agenda is the business item. Approval, disapproval of resolution number 1802, and Ms. Natasha Padilla will present that to us. To adopt the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority non-smoking policy for residents living in public housing.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I'd like to read the resolution to you fully so we can read it into the record. A resolution to adopt the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority's non-smoking policy for residents living in public housing. Whereas the Las Vegas Housing Authority is required to adhere to the updates and notices published by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and whereas Notice 17-03 issued February 15, 2017 provides guidance to the public housing agencies on instituting and enforcing smoke-free public housing policies. And whereas the implementation of the policies will commence May 31st, 2018, and therefore it is resolved by the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority Board, adopt the Las Vegas Housing Authority's non-smoking policy for residents living in public housing, attached hereto and incorporated by reference hereby, passed and approved and adopted this 17th day of 2018.
We will correct that and get the correct one in
Yeah.
first thing in the
And
morning.
that has happened quite a bit, so.
And hereby needs to be fixed too.
We'll get that.
Okay, continue.
The policy itself will be a policy attached to our lease, and it will be, I do apologize, we did start working on it in 2017. Our previous legal, sorry, it does say 2018, I have the old one here. Sorry, effective May 2018, the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority prohibits the use of burning tobacco products in all public housing living units and interior areas as well as in outdoor areas within 25 feet from the public housing and administrative office buildings. Tenant shall be obligated to assure that tenant and any member of the household or guest, another person, tenant under tenant's control, shall not engage in any smoking prohibited tobacco products as defined by 24 CFR 965.653A in restricted areas or outdoor areas that the PHA has designated as smoke-free. The use of electronic nicotine delivery systems, e-cigs, is permitted within the unit and campus-wide. Tenant will be issued 3 warning notices prior to proceeding with eviction according to the residential lease agreement. See the attachment to the agreement. Sorry, I don't know that Roman numeral. Tenant certification. I have read and understand the above smoking policy. I agree to comply fully with the provisions. I understand that failure to comply with this policy may constitute cause for termination of my lease with the City of Las Vegas Housing Authority, and we'll have them sign and date that.
Okay, thank you. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I think the Roman numeral is written incorrectly. It should be XIV, not IVX. If it's, so you need to fix that. And I have a question on number 3. It says the use of electronic nicotine delivery systems, e-cigs, is permitted within the unit and campus-wide. I'm wondering why that is being permitted when e-cigarettes have been shown to be very dangerous and have seriously burned people that were smoking them, and they were hospitalized for weeks and weeks and had terrible damage to their skin and underlying tissue. So I'm wondering why those are permitted. And also I had requested a copy of the policy that has the definition of what tobacco is, the 24 CFR 965.653A. Did anybody bring me
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
I have that. Prohibited tobacco products are defined as items that involve the ignition and burning of tobacco leaves such as cigarettes, cigars, pipes, and water pipes, also known as hookahs. Water pipes or hookahs are smoking devices that use coal or charcoal to heat tobacco and then draw the smoke through the water hose to the user. Both heat sourcing and burning of the tobacco sources contaminate the emissions.
So then the e-cigs are not included in that definition because they're not burning tobacco.
They're not, this is the policy that came from legal. We had a more stringent one that we submitted, but this is the one that they felt was less stringent. Lorraine can express more to that. This wasn't the initial one we submitted, but this is what we're presenting based off of legal's recommendation. In the notice, it does give us the authority to go and not allow ENDS, the electronic nicotine devices, but it does tell us that there's not enough research, so that it's not in the notice right now. So in a year from now, when they do have enough research, they may come back with another notice telling us to take the ENDS out of the unit. So.
Can you, Lorraine,
Yes, ma'am.
ask legal counsel if allowing the use of electronic cigarettes being permitted, and let's say that someone is injured while using that, will the city be liable for allowing the use of those in the units, in the housing
Oh,
units?
who do you, excuse me, Commissioner, who do you normally speak to when you get legal advice?
Right now, it's either Danelle or Mr.
Okay,
Silva
I
here. We
was
can
just
ask
going to
Mr.
defer
Silva.
the question to Mr. Silva, being that we're in an open session. Did you want to follow up with the council, or do you have the answer?
I don't have the exact answer right now. I did review this policy, and it seems to be more towards the least restrictive policy for smoking devices. I can look that up. I don't see why it'd be prohibited. I don't think it's overly restrictive to exclude e-cigarettes.
Okay, thank you. Could you follow up with our
I will follow up.
city manager and also our housing director, and then put out a memo to the council?
Will do.
Okay. Commissioner Howard.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Chairman. Ms. Ortiz, Ms. Padilla, what about medical marijuana?
We are a federally funded program. Therefore, the federal government does not recognize medical marijuana cards. Therefore, we do not recognize medical marijuana cards in our resident.
Okay, so do any of our residents, are they,
I sure hope not. No.
what if they are? Do
Then
we have
they
to
should not
vacate
be
them?
in, yes, they should not be in public housing. It would be part of the drug enforcement. They're still considered illegal in the unit.
Even medical marijuana,
Yes,
not the
because they're not.
recreational?
Yes, because they're not recognized by the federal government.
Thank you.
Questions? Okay. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Should we wait for the clarification of that policy, of the e-cigs, or are we comfortable with that?
I think we need to make a decision on it.
Is there a deadline?
Do you want to read this?
Exactly.
This is part of the note.
It may be the same thing I read earlier, but,
It's the notice for the flexibility.
right. I did read this earlier, and there's not, it's not overly restrictive to prohibit the use of e-cigarettes, from what I read. I haven't seen anything that would prohibit that, or
Okay.
adding that to this restriction.
Is there a deadline on this?
May. May is the deadline, so we can bring this back to council next month if we want to add a more restrictive policy.
Okay.
I think the question was, is the city liable if any injury happens to the person that has the e-cigs? If I'm correct, Councilor Casey,
That's correct.
that's the question that we need to be clarified.
I guess I need clarification. Do you mean if it's allowed, if e-cigarettes are allowed and then somebody is injured, is the city liable?
Yes.
And I don't think so, but I think it would have to be an extreme, no, I can't see. I mean, just offhand, I don't see the liability there. If I understand your question correctly.
Right.
I don't see that liability.
Okay. That's a question.
It's not a breach of the duty to protect or a breach of the safety of the residents or the tenants or visitors, I suppose.
Commissioner Casey, or you said both?
No.
I would like to make an amendment to the resolution. I would like to add the word "not" on item 3 after the word "is." The use of electronic nicotine delivery systems, e-cigs, is not permitted within the unit and campus-wide.
Is permitted or is not permitted?
Is not permitted.
But how can we say it's not permitted if that's something that is not going to pose a liability? What are your thoughts, Natasha?
My thoughts on it is I honestly think as soon as the research is in, we're probably going to be at, if we don't enforce the ends being, if we don't enforce it and have the ends not allowed right now, in a year from now, we're probably going to be coming and amending this policy again and adding the "is not allowed." More, I don't know, but the
So
reason that
you want is not permitted versus is permitted?
I would
Okay, I
say
think
yes.
we need to hold off on this item until there's clarification. I mean, we can't just make amendments at this point in time if you don't see a liability as our legal counsel.
Well, more than that, I don't see that HUD would find it overly restrictive.
Exactly. So why don't we go ahead and remove this from the agenda, bring it back next month, we still have time. And by that time, you would have done all your legal research.
Madam Mayor, I believe that the appropriate parliamentary procedure to do that would be to table to a definite time, which would be the
It
next
would be the
housing
next
meeting.
Next
council
housing.
meeting, we could do that.
Yes.
Why don't we go ahead and table it till the next meeting? That's a good idea.
That
By that
tabling
time,
motion is-
we're going to need a motion for that in a while, Commissioner Casey. But Councilor Howell, Commissioner Howell's have a question.
Instead of not, using the word not, why can't we do is permitted outside of the building?
Within the 25 feet.
within the, yeah, what we did with.
That's why I
access
say,
to
let
that.
them figure out what it is that they need to do, but these are recommendations, and look at the
Because if
legal
we're
aspects
not
of this.
liable, then they can smoke it on
And that's
the
consistent
outside.
with the rest of the.
Because we're not allowing any smoking within the building. Why, you know, but outside. It's permitted outside.
Okay,
Madam Chair, move to table
till the next meeting.
till the next meeting.
We have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Ulibarri,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey and a second by Commissioner Ulibarri to table this item.
The next item, oh, I'm sorry.
Who seconded?
I did.
Commissioner Ulibarri.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda, Madam Chair, was the approval or disapproval of amending the lease agreement, adding the non-smoking policy. So
What is the pleasure of the,
Madam Chair, I move that we table this until the next meeting also.
under what, oh, because of the non-smoking, to ensure
Yes.
this clarification, and tie them to both? Okay, good idea,
Correct.
let's go. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Roll call.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Ulibarri.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Romero to table this item.
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Commissioner's report. Commissioner Romero. Commissioner Casey.
I was going to just report on the training, but I've already done that,
Okay,
so.
thank you. Commissioner Howell.
As I mentioned to, thank you, Madam Chairman. As I mentioned to Ms. Ortiz, I'd like to meet with you hopefully tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, sir.
To discuss it.
I will be there all day tomorrow, at your pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Romero. Okay, executive session discussion? No? Report? Okay, I would like to have somebody make a motion for adjournment.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner Ulibarri,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey.
Yes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casey, a second by Commissioner Ulibarri. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, 5 minutes, after the